Welcome once more to Sanctuary of Reality, my comic review series. Today we begin a new Cerebus book, Book 5, Jaka Story. Now this phone book, or trade paperback, or collection, whatever you want to call these things, is currently still in print. Once it sells out, then they'll go back to print and remaster it. But it doesn't look bad at all. I mean, the original printings and such, they still look great. But remastering will come about eventually. But to do that, they're going to have to sell out of these first. So go and buy this. It's still a great price. I'm not even sure how much it is. Probably $25, around that. Something. So where do you get it? Well, you go to your local comic book store. And you go there and you ask them, you say, do you have Jaka Story? Cerebus, Book 5. And they'll either have it somehow, or they'll get it. They can still order it. So just go there, and if you don't know where your local comic book store is, you go to this website right here, input your info, and there you are. You got your local store, and you're going to support a local business, and you're supporting an independent publisher at the same time. That's a good way to do it. Now, if you would rather have the individual issues like I have, you can always get them at various websites. I mean, you can go to milehighcomics.com. You can go to mycomicshop.com. There's a whole bunch of reputable websites out there that have back issues. Now, you can also go to eBay, and you can get them in lots. You can get full runs. That's a method I do actually support, because I bought many of them through that way. So there's also, let's say you don't have room for physical media. Let's say you want to read it, but you just don't have the space. Well, there's always the digital method. And that, of course, is at www.cerebusdownloads.com. And you go there for a nominal fee. You get the digital experience of the book. No bells and whistles, just the straightforward trade paperback in a digital format. And the money goes directly to Dave, and I believe it goes to Gerhard as well still, especially at this point in the series run. So that's supporting the artist directly. And that way, if you've ever illegally downloaded the digital copy, you can always get it here, and you can go here and you can drop a few bucks into the kitty to show your support for the book if you enjoyed it, which I hope you do. I think you may. So, whatever you do, just read it, because reading is fundamental. Emphasis on fun. There, I've done my LeVar Burton for the day. So here we go with Cerebus issue 114, the prologue and first chapter of Jaka Story. Now, this is also the first issue of the series to not have an individual title. Those are gone now as the book starts being written directly for the phone books. I kind of miss them, though. Maybe I should start coming up with my own individual issue titles. This one, I guess, is just prologue. Jaka Nash, nee Tavers, awakens one morning in bed with her husband Rick. She's slow to rise, and he isn't even bothering to try just yet. She heats up some water for a bath, which is a bit of a labor-intensive project to begin with, and she's left to do it all herself. Rick only budges from slumber after his half-awake responses annoy Jaka to the point of frustration. He gets up naked until her cold reaction to his bare appearance gains him continued ire. Soon, Rick, fully clothed, sits down to breakfast, finding her watery porridge almost unidentifiable. Jaka asks when he's going to go look for work, as today is market day. He stalls and looks for an excuse to procrastinate, and that does not sit well with his wife. Will Rick ever go look for work? The story is juxtaposed with prose-style flashbacks. Jaka, age 3, being awoken by her guardian, known only as Nurse, who then bathes her intensively and superstitiously, then struggles to get her dressed properly, feeds her a grueling water-light form of porridge for breakfast, and finally gives her her best friend in the whole world, the doll called Missy. With Missy by her side, young Jaka soon rides the old hobby horse named Thunder, which she instead calls Magic, make-believing a procession all by herself. Will Nurse ever let Jaka keep Missy overnight? We will eventually learn that these prose-style flashbacks aren't even technically flashbacks at all. What they are excerpts from Daughter of Palnu, or Jaka's story as the author intends it to be known, a biography being written about Jaka's life. Now, how much of them are true and how much are bogus, how much is artistic license, we never find out. When we meet the author of the book and we learned how he got his information, it does cast a lot of doubt on the validity of the tales, but we never get any other source for it, so we really have to take it at face value with a grain of salt. This is the second Cerebus-free issue of the series, and it's not really evident in reading it. At least it wasn't to me. I mean, I didn't spend every page just going over it saying, where's Cerebus? I don't see Cerebus. Is that Cerebus behind the tree? No Cerebus. No mention of Cerebus. Unlike the last time he was not in an issue, which was back during Church and State 1, where his presence was felt. You had mentions of him and everything going on was about him. Here, nothing's about him. But at the same time, if you really want to be really detail-oriented, you could say that the state of East, the country, that city-state, or whatever they want to call it, that this little township takes place in, it's in the state it's in thanks to Cerebus's mistakes in prior books. So there is still it's a very behind the scenes kind of involvement of Cerebus, I guess. But you don't really need to have him in this one. It works without having the title character in it, and so that's pretty good. So this is a very good issue, actually. It's all on its own merits. It stands alone. It's a good jumping on point, much like the last issue was. But I'd say even more than last issue. This is an excellent start. I believe it was the first issue read by Margaret Liss, the Cerebus fangirl. She jumped on here and became a huge fan of the series. So anybody can jump on with this one. I actually recommend this one very much so. In terms of jumping on, if you've given the book a try, say you tried issue 1, and issue 1 is a very different beast, and you didn't quite like it. Then you tried High Society, and you didn't quite get the political intrigue. And then you tried Church and State, and you weren't feeling the religious tones. Go with Jaka's story, because this first chapter gives you a very clear indicator of what the rest of this particular phone book is about. You can read this one, digest it, and decide if you want to go on any further. And if you don't, then just skip to the next book. But it's the prose sections in this one are actually pretty gripping. I really like the prose parts, and they add depth and texture to Jaka more than any of her appearances combined have really given her. And so this is a very good issue. And I do recommend it. Next time, Cerebus comes to town.